All right, so this, of course, is the big night in American politics. Joe Biden, the challenger, and Donald Trump, they're going head-to-head. Pretty much most of the votes have been cast, and it is the biggest turnout in American history. Nearly about 160 million people are expected to have voted by the end of this day. And then begins the big and a huge challenging task that could run into a lot of litigation, according to what many people expect. And this is to have counting will be done. Generally, by the end of the election night, you'd have the winner that would have been declared. But this time round, it's going to be different because of the huge number of mail-in ballots that have been put forth. It is expected that it will be many days, if not weeks, before a winner is eventually declared. But there are a lot of exit polls that are doing the rounds in the American media, and they are projecting winners. And this is according to the projections from the exit polls that have appeared in the American media, where Donald Trump, the incumbent president, is touted to win the key states of Indiana and Kentucky. These, remember, are projections on the basis of exit polls. While Joe Biden is said to have won Vermont. Again, this is a projection. The polls have closed in the first 7 U.S. states, including in the key state of Georgia. Ballot counting is underway in the battleground state of Pennsylvania. All right, now to give us a bit more perspective in terms of how all of this is playing out and what it actually means for the American electorate at large, and also as to how quickly the results could in fact be declared, we're joined in by Julianne Thompson. She's joining us live, and she's also a Republican strategist, and she's joining us live from Atlanta. So Julianne, let me begin by asking you this. The polling is pretty much complete, and we expect, and counting has in fact begun in many of these key states. How confident are the Republicans, the team of Donald Trump, that they have it in them, that they have enough number of votes and enough number of electoral college seats to see through, to get to that magic figure of 270?
Well, first of all, thank you very much for having me on tonight to discuss this. And hello from America. We appreciate you covering this. As far as the election is concerned, it's extremely close, but the Trump campaign is very excited and is very enthusiastic and looking forward to tonight's results. But I'm not sure that we're going to know all of the answers tonight, but, you know, things are extremely tight, and it's going to come down to 1 or 2 states.
I think that's a very candid thing that you've said, that it is very tight. You know, the question that I want to ask you is, even before the polling started earlier this morning, more than 100 million votes had already been cast. And many people, in fact, are suggesting that those people have, in fact, already cast their votes. Probably a majority of them would be Biden supporters. And therefore, Donald Trump effectively today in the polling was playing catch up. What is the consensus within the Republican camp for this assessment?
Well, I actually did a little poll myself yesterday just on social media, where I asked a lot of different people if they voted absentee ballot, if they voted early in person, or if they plan to vote on election day. And I have a very large Republican following to see how people would answer that question. And by and large, the vast majority of people answered that they voted early in person. There were a few people that voted absentee, and maybe out of a little over 100 people that answered the question, there were about between 5 and 10 people that said that they were going to vote on election day. So a lot of Republicans actually did vote early. But, you know, of course, we live in unprecedented times with the coronavirus issue, everything else that has happened in 2020. So this is a very different election than any other election before. Republicans usually do tend to vote on election day, but things changed quite a bit this year because of the virus. And because in the state of Georgia, our Secretary of State, Brad Raffensperger, let everyone understand how important it was for people to vote early or absentee in order to protect poll workers, because the vast majority of our poll workers in the state of Georgia have been over 72 years old, and they were the at-risk category. So we wanted to do everything we could in the state of Georgia to protect those poll workers. So a lot of people did vote early.
All right, now the question that I also want to ask you is, Joe Biden's camp is pretty exhilarated with the fact that we are witnessing arguably the highest ever turnout in American voting history. As many as anywhere from 150 perhaps to 160 million voters would have cast their vote by the end of day today. How is this being read in the Republican camp? The fact that there is such a high voter turnout, does this in some ways, make you skip a heartbeat that possibly more people are coming out because they're not perhaps very happy with what's been done, especially in the last 1 year?
Well, I think it's a variety of things that factor into the high voter turnout. First of all, you have the pro-Trump enthusiasm. I mean, there's no doubt about the fact that Trump voters are more excited about President Trump than Biden voters are about former Vice President Biden. However, among the Democrats, there is a large anti-Trump enthusiasm. So it's hard to gauge whether or not that enthusiastic large vote is due to a pro-Trump or an anti-Trump enthusiasm, but also because there are a lot of new voters, a lot of young voters that are registered this time around and participating in the voting process in the United States that did not in the previous election. So there are a lot more of a youth vote that are involved and engaged in 2020. So that's going to be exciting to see how that plays out and who they support.
All right, and also we are seeing some of these projections that are coming in where we're given to understand that the American president is said to have won Indiana and Kentucky, while Joe Biden is projected to be winning Vermont. What do you make of these projections? Are they reliable?
Yes, they're reliable, and that was expected, so there's no surprises there for
and
either
also,
campaign.
Florida is said to be one of those very crucial states. He had managed to win it in the year 2016, but he had done it with a very slender majority, perhaps of just about 1% of the votes. This time round, it's said to be a make or break state for Donald Trump. Will he be able to sail through again in Florida? Because this time round, the race is expected to be much tighter.
Well, we'll know Florida tonight, that is for sure. If President Trump does not take Florida, then it is unlikely that he will have a path to victory. But we're not sure what's going to happen in the state of Florida. Chances are President Trump is probably going to take Florida. But still, that doesn't mean that he will take the presidency. There is still a path to victory for Joe Biden if he gets Arizona and Pennsylvania. People believe he will take Wisconsin, Michigan, and some of the other Rust Belt states, but not Ohio. They believe Donald Trump will take Ohio. But I think when all is said and done, this is going to come down to the state of Pennsylvania. Mm-hmm. And we may not know the results of the state of Pennsylvania until Friday. I mean, because they have the extra days to count ballots according to the Supreme Court ruling, the recent Supreme Court ruling. So we may not know the results of Pennsylvania until the end of this week. So we may not know the election results for the presidential election here in the United States this evening, but at least we'll have some sort of a good idea about the direction that it's trending.